Hello everyone. It's James again. And before I start today's video, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope your day is going way better than fantastic. And your journey to self-betterment is going way better than fantastic as well. And before I get into the topic for today, I want to say, I'm still working on replies to comments. There are some comments I want to reply to for sure. So thank you for being understanding. I really do appreciate you all. With that said, just like the title of this video says, another example of what we have talked about. And that's the setup these toxic people will do to you under the guise of so-called friendship. I've talked about my experience as a teenager with a so-called best friend. He, I believe, lured me to get jumped and beat up by several people. Then later on he pretended to help me. And when telling this story here on this channel, one subscriber mentioned to not be surprised if my narcissist mother was involved. And it then just came to my mind that, shortly before the incident when I got jumped and beat up, this so-called friend came over to pick me up, so we could go hang out and go wherever we were going that day. And I had forgotten something like my wallet in my bedroom. When I returned to the living room, my mother quickly stopped talking. And my so-called friend had an angry look on his face. And when we got in the car, he looked at me and said, "You know, your mother doesn't want you to live there anymore. She wants you to move." And he said he thinks I should move as well. The rest of the day was strange and awkward after that. When I later asked my mother about what had happened, she gaslighted and said I was imagining things. And that my so-called friend is lying. Then shortly after, maybe a few weeks, maybe a few months later, I don't recall as it was so long ago, I got jumped and beaten up. Well, I don't think my now deceased narcissist mother told him to do such a thing. But I do think she agreed that he would teach me a lesson or he would take care of things. For what? I can only imagine what she was telling him. But this is what narcissists do. They do as my mother used to like to call it, playing two between the middle. Playing two between the middle. Well, even worse has been happening lately. I reported on a story recently of a man bringing his son back to the Dominican Republic to see his grandmother again for, I believe, the second or third time. And all of this was set up by this man's so-called best childhood friend. And as soon as this man landed and was getting into a van or car to take him and his son where they were to be staying, they were approached for robbery. And the person driving the car or van took off to get away. And in the middle of the action, this man's innocent young son's life was ended by these robbers. And guess what? The so-called best friend was there pretending to console this man over his loss. And wanting to help. That is until he was arrested right on the spot for setting the entire thing up. Well, I was just watching the O'Shea Duke Jackson channel. And he was reporting on a man that was the friend of, or possibly in the friend zone of, a woman he might have liked. And she called him to help her with her so-called broken down car. He arrived and he was attacked, robbed, and I believe carjacked, or an attempted carjacking happened by two men. This man was able to luckily escape and is living to tell the story. But this goes back to what we have been talking about. That yes, it's okay to be kind and helpful. But if someone comes to you asking for something, slow things down. Even if it is at 3 in the morning. Or out of the blue. Ask yourself, what is this person doing to help the situation for themselves, and what is the logical solution to the problem? Here's the reality. Most people are driving with insurance because you're required by law in most places to have insurance to drive your vehicle on the road. And most insurances that are sold to people have roadside assistance where they will tow your car back to your home and your towing insurance will take care of this expense. Are there some people out there that don't have this on their insurance? Sure. I would suspect so. But for most people that have average to decent coverage, it's very likely they have towing that is covered. So if someone calls you with such a problem, it's okay. Not a problem. But what you should be doing if you can is slow things down and say, I know you're upset, but the best bet is to call your insurance and have your vehicle towed to your home. I don't mind calling you back once you've called them, to stay on the phone with you until they arrive. This is you still being helpful, caring and a good friend, but at the same time, protecting yourself. You see, many, not all, but many of these situations can be solved by the person that is having the problem. Now here's the thing. We as narcissistic abuse survivors know this isn't always the case. Because how most of us grew up. We had one problem come up right after the next where we needed assistance from others for. Or if we got some assistance we might have had certain situations turn out much better. So, we want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. But the truth is, not everyone is you and not everyone has your heart of love. So if you want to be helpful, that's fine. But be careful at the same time. Because so-called friend is setting up so-called friend. And O'Shea talked a bit about this guy in the friend zone and he shouldn't have been available to this person anyways. And what we are seeing nowadays are people without connections and without families. Loneliness is on the rise. And because many of these people don't have families of their own of those that know and love them, they are what we call in the narcissistic abuse survivor space, love-starved or love-deprived. So when someone comes along pretending to care, it hits something in these people that lack love. And it makes them want to do anything they can to hang on to and keep on getting this feeling of being loved. Even if it means ignoring red flags and going into situations against our better judgment. Look people. Getting set up and robbed on dating apps is completely normal these days. It happens every day and every week. Yet when the newscasters report on such a case, you never hear the outcry for people to be able to meet and get to know each other organically and over a long period of time to vet one another. Simply because this fast anything culture the narcissists thrive in. And they want this society and culture to be as savage and missing love as humanly possible. So much. To the point it's not human anymore. It's just another example of what we've talked about. And these examples keep coming and coming. Yet those that set the tone for how society is supposed to run do nothing positive to help. Because just like in our narcissistic homes of origin, our narcissist parents crafted and created the problems in our lives. And then they pretended to be the victim of it all. And not one time was any solution ever given. Why? Because they want the narcissism to go round and around and round and round. So they can get supply for the rest of their life. At least that is their hope anyways. With that said, be careful. And I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time. Bye for now. And be good to yourself.